Chapter 20 of the Lovers Pentacle 3, 5 of Pentacles. The two arrived to the parking lot, and Oberon sat in the passenger seat. He threw Kain the keys. He threw Kain the key to his Mustang. He wanted his friend to get a feel for the strength of the car. Kain returned the car keys to Oberon. He was far too stressed to drive. Oberon drove back to his apartment to get his friend showered and changed. And Kain streamed down before entering the shower, and the water that came out felt cold but refreshing. He blushed when he noticed Oberon peeping, and he finished his shower and he stood before Oberon completely in the nude. When we first met, you told me that you value soul over body. Was that one of your many pickup lines, or were you speaking in earnest? Asked Kain. I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? Asked Oberon. He had been distracted by the water droplets sliding down Kain's six-pack. Oberon, what am I to you, a friend or a passing fancy? Asked Kain. Can you be both? Asked Oberon, placing his hands on Kain's shoulders. Kain flinched as soon as Oberon placed his hand on his shoulder, and he covered his nudity with a bathrobe. He sighed with frustration before saying, I am not in the mood. Please treat me with the same respect that I have always shown you. Oberon sighed with frustration, and Kain left the bathroom and he got dressed, and this was not how he had imagined his reunion with Oberon. And both rode in silence towards the restaurant, and every time Oberon made eye contact, Kain would turn his head. The same thought kept running through Kain's mind. Oberon doesn't want to be my friend anymore because I don't want to mate with him. And he should just mate with a random and get all that lustful thoughts out of his system. They arrived at Mojitos. It was a restaurant that Oberon knew, and it was within his budget. He was planning to pay for everything, though he was secretly hoping that Kain would agree to split the bill. They made small talk while sharing the free bread basket. Oberon, the night when you called, what do you want to talk about? Asked Kain. My date treated me like a cheap whore and I overreacted, said Oberon. And we had a lovely evening, and after he was finished with me, he told me, excuse me, arrivederci, I don't know you, we never made it. We never, and if I see you in the street, I will act like I don't know you. I am sorry that a horrible man made you feel worthless. It is his loss, said Kain before sipping his soda. You deserve better, much better. I know, said Oberon while munching on a piece of bread. I found in you to some of your gymnastics performances, said Kain, changing the subject. Is that so? Asked Oberon, pouting. You can find just about anything on the internet. And which one was it? It was a floor exercise. I do not know from what year, but you look pretty cool, and you were sporting purple shorts and an orange t-shirt with purple lines, said Kain, bringing out his cell phone, and he showed Oberon the video. Oberon cringed when he saw the shadow of the person he used to be. He didn't like to be reminded of the past. I'd rather not be reminded of my life-lost career. I didn't even want to do gymnastics. I do not know who told my father that I had a talent for that particular sport. All I know is that from the age of 5 to the age of 17, gymnastics became the core of my existence. And I can't tell you how many times I missed school just to get extra practice, said Oberon, sighing sadly. I am surprised that I even know how to read. What happened to your father? Asked Kain. I am not in the mood to talk about my father, said Oberon. Can we talk about something else? Please, pretty please, Kain. What is your favorite book? Asked Kain. I don't read. Reading is boring, hissed Oberon, becoming irritated. Do you want to dance while we wait for our order? Asked Kain tentatively. I am not in the mood, said Oberon. What are you in the mood for? Asked Kain. Nothing, lied Oberon. Kain went to dance salsa by himself, and it didn't take long for a woman to start rubbing up against him. They made them preposition, and he danced his way back to the table with his cash. This is my friend Oberon, and I feel that he's more your type, said Kain. I am not in the mood for a woman, said Oberon, raising the stakes. Try again. You are not getting your dessert until you find a man that can satisfy me. Your gay friend is a bit of an ass, said the maiden. I am sorry about him. He's going through a difficult time, man, said Kain, apologetic. Kain, sit down. You do not need to make excuses for me to a stranger, ordered Oberon. Kain sat down and he ate his dinner with a moody Oberon, and while they waited for dessert, he tried his luck once again. He started dancing, but now he seemed to lure a woman, and after analyzing the problem, he realized that he needed to change his tactic. Kain thought of his friend Carina and the way she danced, and he softened his mannerism, and he started making his moves more feminine, and he started to mimic Carina's dance moves. And this new way of dancing succeeded in shooing away all the maidens. And on the bright side, he succeeded in making Oberon and a bunch of other people laugh. He tolerated the public ridicule for 10 minutes, until he was able to lure a man that was brave enough to dance with him. Kain thought of Alexia. How would he handle the situation? "Darling, do you want to?" asked Kain, giving a coquettish smile. And he made his voice more high-pitched. "Do I want to? I would love to. I'm going to pay the bill first and meet me in the parking lot," said the man. "Don't keep me waiting, darling." The man felt at Kain before kissing his neck, and Kain slapped him before pulling his nose. And instead of irritating his date, this excited him. He left in a hurry. The date left in a hurry to pay the bills and to prepare his love nest. "He told me to meet him in the parking lot," said Kain, returning to Oberon. "And you need to look for a red Dodge Caravan. Are you trying out the classic bait-and-switch strategy?" asked Oberon, laughing. "Do you think it will work?" asked Kain. "There's only one way to find out," said Oberon, leaving the table. "Don't eat my flan." Kain grew sadder when he saw Oberon depart, and he sat alone for half an hour. Oberon eventually returned to the table, and his dyed red hair was a mess, and his arms had hickeys. Oberon had the look of a mischievous child, and to prove his suspicion, Kain lifted Oberon's shirt, and there was not a mark on him. "Aha, just as I thought, nothing happened," said Kain, laughing. Like all he did was make a bruise of his own body in order to pretend like he actually did get lucky. "Alright, you got me. I got rejected again," said Oberon, sitting back on his chair, and he was pouty since his little trick hadn't worked. "Our little shoe-toy wasn't amused by your bait-and-switch strategy. He cursed your name before driving away in a fury." Oberon finished his dessert, and Kain opened his wallet, and he paid for everything. And with that out of the way, they got in the car and went to go to the movies. They saw Leprechaun 2, another horror comedy. Nobody laughed while watching the film. "What do you want to do now?" asked Oberon. "I want to go fishing," said Kain, taking the car keys. "Awesome, let's go," said Oberon. Kain drove to his grandpa's storage, and Oberon frowned when he saw Kain getting out two fishing rods. He wasn't amused about the prospect of truly going fishing. Like, he thought that they were gonna, go find chicks, but he mean, "Oh, you wanna go fishing?" Yeah. He literally meant go fishing. Oberon peeped underneath a tarp. No, Oberon peeped underneath a tarp draped over a chair, and in the darkness he wasn't able to see clearly the breaking chair, and before he got a chance to look at the other cool stuff, came back on Oberon to get out of the storage unit. After double-checking the lock, the two got inside the car. "Can we even buy bait at this hour?" asked Oberon, trying to whistle himself out of fishing. "Don't worry about it. There is always a guy with extra bait," said Kain. Kain drove for 20 minutes to the fishing spot, and it was a bridge in Miami Beach, and the parking lot was crowded by local homeless folks and drunk tourists and other night creatures. Kain reached into his wallet, and he placed an orange ribbon around Oberon's windshield wiper. What's with the ribbon?" asked Oberon. "Grandpa always tied this ribbon around the windshield wiper whenever we fish here. I think it is supposed to ward away thieves, but I don't know," said Kain, shrugging his shoulders. Kain walked ahead carrying the fishing rods and an empty water cooler, and Oberon kept looking over his shoulder, extremely paranoid. Kain saluted one of the regulars of Camilo's house, and he took out the baiting knife, and he added the bait on both the fishing rods, and he drew the line, and he waited for Oberon to do the same. Oberon yawned to illustrate his boredom. "Tell me, Oberon, what is your favorite H.P. Lovecraft story?" asked Kain. "I don't know, never heard of the guy," said Oberon, yawning once again. "When we first met, you quoted that writer. I was under the impression that you were familiar with his work," said Kain. "My first big mistake was a theater buff, and I got that stupid pickup line from him," mused Oberon. He had a way with words that was simply hypnotic, but with a phrase he could take you to heaven while at the same time rip your heart to shreds. He sounds like the king of backhanded compliments, commented Kain. He certainly was. So tell me, Kain, who was your first big mistake? Asked Oberon. It was Carina. I have been in love with her for quite some time, but I never made a move on her because she was Maddie's girlfriend, said Kain. Liar, you never made a move on that woman because you were afraid of getting rejected, said Oberon, nudging Kain with his elbow. The truth is a bit more embarrassing. I was a virgin, and at every party the girls would ask me to dance, and they would rub up against me, and I, instead of getting excited like a normal teenager, I would become very afraid, and I was always finding excuses to get away from them, and I would feign illness or non-existent curfews, and the thought of wanting Carina physically never crossed my mind, explained Kain as his ears turned red. Bummer. And what happened to you, Kain? Were you born that way, or did a bad experience mess you up? Asked Oberon. Are you implying that I am defective just because I don't think about sex 24/7? Asked Kain, narrowing his eyes. And it wouldn't kill you to get a real hobby, Oberon. It wouldn't kill you to live a little. And how can you be so liberal yet so repressed? Asked Oberon. I don't judge you, so don't judge me, said Kain. He felt a slight tug in his fishing hook, and he rolled up a tasty little morsel. He was happy for the distraction, for it allowed the subject of being repressed to die down. Is it edible? Asked Oberon. No, said Kain, holding up the fish. Then back in the ocean you go, said Oberon, tossing the fish into the darkness. You probably killed it, said the fisherman. No, I didn't. The fish is fine, barked Oberon, pointing at nothing. You can believe whatever helps you sleep at night, chummy, said the fisherman. Kain added a new bait to his line before throwing in his fishing hook into the dark abyss, and Oberon yawned extremely bored, and his legs shifted left and right after standing about doing nothing for half an hour, and he rested his head against Kain's shoulder. So tell me, Kain, how did you muster the strength to make Carina your first mistake? Asked Oberon. I didn't master anything. She came unto me, and I surrendered to her gentle maiden embrace, said Kain. Sex. Say the word with me. Sex, said Oberon. And stop saying the word maiden. You are not an animal. I had coitus with Carina, said Kain as his face turned as red as a tomato. Sex. You had sex with Carina, said Oberon, laughing. Say the words, otherwise I will never speak to you again. Sex, whispered Kain. Oberon raised his hand to his ear to illustrate the fact that he had failed to hear the word he longed to hear, and Kain drew close enough to Oberon's ear, and his breath felt hot and his lips felt moist, and after hesitating, he repeated the word, sex. Ha ha ha, Kain, you are too much. Tell me more. I am dying to hear all the sordid details of your affair with Dr. Carina, said Oberon, teasing Kain. She wasn't a doctor back then. She was a cheerleader, said Kain. Even better, I now have a mental picture to work with. Tell me the rest, insisted Oberon. Well, it had been a month since she had broken up with Maddox, and she asked me to help her throw away everything that reminded her of her ex-boyfriend. And during the cleanup, she started crying, and I hugged her, and she kissed me, and before getting a little too eager, said Kain. More details, insisted Oberon. That is all the details you are going to get, mister. Nothing memorable happened, and you could almost say that it was over in an instant, said Kain, pouting. After a short encounter, she told me that she was ready to forgive Maddie for his indiscretion. Ouch. I am surprised you to consider that woman your best friend, said Oberon, shocked. It is easy to consider someone your best friend when they are your only friend. Malik left, Alexia left, everyone left. They had their big hopes and their big ambitions, and I didn't fit into their perfect plans for the future. Only Carina stayed. Her roots ran far too deep for her to risk leaving her family garden. Why didn't you go to college? Asked Oberon. I didn't think I could make anything like such a big expense for such little payoff, and my grandpa was only willing to pay for me to become a doctor or a lawyer. A stock trader or an engineer was also acceptable, explained Kain. The money thing is just an excuse, Kain. You just really didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, said Oberon. I don't know, I just couldn't imagine myself as a doctor or a lawyer, said Kain, pouting. I'm not really that smart, and I'm not eloquent enough to be a lawyer. So then why a cop? And why did you choose to become a cop of all things? Asked Overton. It paid better than being a mechanic, and the job came with health insurance and pension, like Kain. It is just us here, Kain. Tell me the truth. I have no intention of judging you, insisted Overton. It seemed like the easiest path to tread, and I already knew how to shoot and how to defend myself, and my Uncle Gamp is a cop, and Stacy's father's a cop, and her brothers are also officers, so I became a cop, said Kain. Aren't you afraid of getting shot? Aren't you afraid of getting kidnapped and tortured, reservoir style? Asked Overton. That already happened to me once, not the getting shot part. That hasn't happened to me yet. I did get kidnapped and tortured, and very recently I might add, said Kain, smiling. How can you say something so awful with a smile on your face? Asked Overton. That's fine, I'm already over it. I'm already over it, said Kain, and he felt his line tugged. Look, I caught a big one this time. Kain attempted to reel in his fish, but the line snapped, and tears began to fall down his beautiful cheeks, and he didn't understand why losing the stupid fish had upset him so much. The more he thought about that stupid fish that got away, the worse his crying fit became. Ahora sí, no, that shit to God bless.